Well, hello again from the Granite State. My name is Gary, and this is the Restoring Main Street podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining me. It's Monday the 27th, and topic I'm going to hit today, I knew I didn't necessarily have to jump right into it because it was going to be a hot topic for quite some time. Roe v. Wade. People are losing their minds over this. And I understand, seeing as how it's been since 1973 that this now overruled law has been in place. So I can understand how people have thought this was safe, that this was a done deal, and now you've got 3 justices sitting on the court, newly appointed through the Trump administration, that tend to be a little bit more originalists when it comes to the Constitution. So this is where we are. I'm going to play a clip from the president. I'm going to take a look at, a couple of articles just to give you a basis as far as how I look at this, along with, the viewpoint of, being a Christian. So you can probably assume from that, where I stand. But you know what? Why don't we start the program? And hello again. So, like I said, from the point that this was leaked, and anybody with common sense knows why it was leaked. It was in an attempt to see if they couldn't sway the justices' vote. You saw the goings on outside of certain justices' homes, the attempt to intimidate, and all I can say is I'm very glad that wasn't a factor when it came to the final decision. And I know this is going to be unpopular with many, but here's the thing. The court is not supposed to be a political arm of the way this republic was set up. For better or worse, as far as, I guess, your perspective, the idea of the court was to be impartial. The idea of the court was to look at the writings of the Constitution and look at any law that we decide to attempt to implement and decide whether it falls in line with those guidelines set up within our Constitution. And it's important that we adhere to those things. And no, it's not a living document. Absolutes, basic principles are not a living document. If you want to change the Constitution, there's a process for that. And based on an originalist's perspective, the way you should look at law, it should not be an emotional thing. It should be a fact-based thing based on the Constitution. I believe, I know, and I will attempt to show you that this decision was correct, whether you agree with it or not. But it also doesn't, it doesn't put abortion on the back burner as far as having access to it. I guarantee you the states where it becomes a little more difficult, there will be processes made so that difficulty is minimized, and you will see that happen. It just reverts all of those decisions back to the states the way it should. Abortion is not a constitutional right. It was not written into our founding documents. You can do all the verbal dances that you want. You can manipulate anything that you'd like to manipulate in order to do those gymnastics, and that's what happened back in 1973. But Nowhere in the Constitution does it mention abortion. It doesn't give you the right to take another person's life. And yes, we are talking about another human being. We're talking about two souls, two separate sets of DNA. That's not debatable. You can choose to debate it, but you're debating on a false premise. It's not debatable. So let me, I guess to start out, if I can select the correct manipulation of my board here, if you'll give me a second, and it looks like I have. What I'd like to do to start out is to just play for you some clips from the president's speech the other day, and this is from Reuters. I found the clips in this minute and some odd post. This was at The Guardian, and like I said, these clips come from Reuters. So let me go ahead and just play this for you, and we'll listen through it.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans. I believe Roe v. Wade was the correct decision as a matter of constitutional law and application of the fundamental right to privacy and liberty in matters of family and personal autonomy. Let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk. It was 3 justices named by one president, Donald Trump, who were the core of today's decision to upend the scales of justice and eliminate a fundamental right for women in this country. Make no mistake, this decision is a culmination of a deliberate effort over decades to upset the balance of our law. It made the United States an outlier among developed nations in the world. But this decision must not be the final word. My administration will use all of its appropriate lawful powers, but Congress must act.
Well, okay, you heard it straight from the president. Well, Congress must act. Well, they've basically just declared this law, like I said, from 1973, unconstitutional. I don't know where you go from there. I mean, I can you appeal the Supreme Court? I guess you can. I don't know how much luck you're going to have, but yeah, I suppose if you want to, you can. But like I stated, this is not part of our Constitution. Nowhere in the Constitution do you find anything written about abortion. And like I said, it's taking of a life. Make no mistake about it. And the only place that I'm aware of in the Constitution that talks about taking of a life is the act of treason. As far as our Constitution and those laws are written, we have laws in this country to address murder and things of that nature that are very severe. And in some states, in some cases, depending on the severity of how that occurred, yeah, you can see another life taken. But that's after due process. That's not taking of, at that point, after you've gone through law, that's not taking of an innocent life, which abortion 100% is taking of an innocent life. All right. Let me share a couple of other articles with you. This one is from Live Action, as you can see. And it was written back in 2016. Abortion rights are in the Constitution. The appropriate question to that or statement, show me where. And if you come down here, into the article. And like I said, I will add these links so that you can go and read this material for yourself. But, excuse me, in this paragraph right here, in Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court discovered a constitutional right to abortion. That's interesting because nowhere in the Constitution does the word abortion ever appear. They got around this by claiming abortion falls under the right of privacy. Where's that right spelled out? It isn't. Justice Harry Blackham wrote the majority opinion in Roe, and even he admitted the Constitution does not explicitly mention any right of privacy. Well, I'd say that kind of takes care of that from that perspective. Like I said, you can do all kinds of verbal gymnastics, and like I referenced before, that's certainly what they did in order to get to that particular decision at that particular point in the court. But everything stated there is 100% factual. There is nothing in the Constitution that talks about abortion or a right. And like I said, because I am a Christian, because I believe that life begins at conception, that's, like I said, two different souls, two different sets of DNA. So you're not talking about correcting an abnormality in a human being. Okay? Excuse me. That's not what this is about. This, unfortunately, has been used as, I guess depending on your perspective and speaking from the baby, it certainly wouldn't be this, a convenient form of contraception. An extreme form of contraception, in my opinion, but certainly not contraception in the basic preventative terms that I understand it, and I say a good portion of us understand it. As soon as you add, like I said, another life to the equation, it is no longer just your body, as the woman states. That's not the case. You are carrying another life. That is the truth. That is what's happening there. Now, the other point of reference that the president makes is somehow this is, like I said, based on a woman's health, or you're interfering in a woman's health as far as that goes. And I have another article to share with you. This is from Live Action, and this was written back in 2018. Still true, only a fraction of abortions done for rape, incest, and mother's health. And what they did, they wrote an article here, and they're stating that there are only 16 states that require that information, history is kept on abortion and what happens within those states. So what I am looking to share here are a quick sample. There are, I think they give 8 samples. Below is a sample from 8 of the 16 states that report abortion reasons recently reviewed by Live Action News. And you will see that these percentages from the states clearly shows that this is an elective. This is not, this is a majority of this is not due to the woman's or a woman's health. Okay. This is the state of Arizona published 2016, reported 108 women cited abortions due to fetal medical conditions, a 9.2 increase over 2016. But what I really wanted to get to is a couple of other states here, because it gets into a little bit more of the actual numbers and kind of a plain or more stark example of what's going on. Back in 2017, out of 68,935 abortions reported in the state, this is Florida, the majority were performed for elective reasons, and 16.3 for economic reasons. Emotional reasons accounted for 1.3, while health reasons, rape, incest, were at 1% or below. And you can see the numbers here. Like I said, I'll add these links so that you can look at this for yourself. But elective abortions combined, the total for that year, 55,247. And of that, let's see, over 11,000 were done for social or economic reasons, emotional, physical health of the mother. It was 911 compared to over 55,000. Physical health of the mother, that is not life-endangering, there was 700. Life-endangering physical conditions, 141. And you can look at some of these other states as well. The numbers are, play out very similar. And when you're talking about health issues, they refer to that as hard cases. So the hard cases in Louisiana only made up 4.5% of abortions, 390 out of 8,706. And I won't bother to read down through all the rest of these because you can look at them for yourself when you get a chance to pull up the links that I post. But the point is made. That's all I really wanted to show you, that now today, with the advancements that we have in health and healthcare, the life of the mother, more times than not, is not the issue. This is an elective. And if it was for the life of the mother, and the baby was, and these numbers get lower and lower as far as when you can actually birth a child and have them successfully live, a preemie, whatever, this time period shrinks. But, if it's for the health of the mother, why not have just a C-section then, if that's what you're looking to do? That way you can save both lives, and the child can be given up for adoption once it's to the point of health that you can do that. Why wouldn't you want to save both lives? And a lot of this, if we're reasonable about this, and I'm not talking about incestuous rape, and the funny thing is, even if you give way to that particular argument with somebody on an opposing side, if you say, okay, we'll give you incest and rape, that type of thing, can we do away with the other abortions out of convenience? No, they're not going to acquiesce to that. They're not going to say yes. They're not going to agree with that. So they're not even, they always bring that up as, or what about, well, or what if, but, those are really not the argument for them. Most extremists, when it comes to this position, want abortion, as sad as this is, and this is really upsetting, they want it up into the actual point of birth. You're talking about, a viable human being that's ready to be born, and if it hasn't left the womb yet, they still want the ability in some states to be able to abort that child. Sorry. I'm never going to sign on to something like that. And I'm going to have an opinion. They make the argument that, if you're not birthing a child, you don't have the right to an opinion. Well, if you go by the arguments you're hearing today, I guess I do have opinions. And I'm allowed to have opinions because now men can have babies. Right? Again, we're jumping through hoops there. But, when it comes to the life of another human being, somebody that doesn't have a voice yet, I will always make the choice to speak up on their behalf. And like I said, you don't have to agree with me, but that's not going to deter my voice or my opinion. That's just how it is. And they talk about, when does life actually begin? That's the other argument that kicks in that they try to use. Being a person of faith, this is where I find this to be important. This is Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Now, I realize that this was speaking of Jeremiah, but when you're talking about the Father of creation, if you don't believe that each and every soul that is born or is conceived, God doesn't have that same opinion or doesn't know them in the womb, therefore they are a human being, then you're not being honest with yourself either. And like I said, there are those that no matter what I say, no matter what the topic is, these debates are going to go back to the states, and there are going to be opposition on both sides, standing for both opinions. And that will continue. But from a constitutional perspective, I am extremely happy that it is given back to the states. That is not a national mandate, because it never was, never is, and never will be a constitutional right to murder a child. Plain and simple. And I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers today with this, but I'm okay with that. At some point, when you're talking about principles, you have to decide to take a stand. And the way society is going today, more and more of that is coming to the forefront. More and more of that is you're forced not to sit on the sidelines anymore. There's just too much at stake in every aspect of our lives, and more of government is trying to intrude on those freedoms that were set forth in our Constitution and affirmed through our Bill of Rights, the things that government can't do. And the more those things are attacked, the more all of us, each and every one of us, needs to stand up and say, no, no more. You are servants. You are our public servants. But they, due to the corruption that has occurred in Washington, D.C., have decided, no, we are your rulers. We are your oligarchs. We are the elites that are going to tell you how it is. And that only happens if you put up with it. I stated, might have been the last podcast or the podcast before, I'm not exactly sure. But your freedoms, more and more, are only as relevant as you're willing to stand up for them. And you will need to stand up for them if you plan on keeping them. So that's all I have to say on this. It was going to be a fairly quick podcast anyway, and I just wanted to share that with you. Just felt it was necessary to, I guess, plant my feet on solid ground and let you know what I felt. And again, like I said, any topic that I talk about here on Restoring Main Street, I talk about because I feel it can either positively or adversely affect you. And it's based on that idyllic image that I have of what Main Street is. And Main Street, although it's, pavement and buildings, in the end, it's more people than anything else. And I'll always attempt to bring to the forefront those things that I think can positively or adversely affect you as people, with the frame of mind of restoring what I picture in my head of what a thriving Main Street can and should be. So, okay, we're through that. Let me do some of my my normal shout outs, and I'd like to shout out as far as Coffee News Rochester, my friend Gene Valley, who's been still battling health issues, a little pneumonia back and forth. So I would appreciate if you would consider sending him your prayers if you're of that particular belief. If you take time to pray, I wish you'd, take a minute and pray for my friend Gene. And after that, go to Facebook. If you're a local Rochester resident, take a look at Coffee News Rochester. It posts just about everything you could possibly think of that has relevance to Rochester and the surrounding areas. So if you're interested in finding out about what's going on, that is one of the best places you can go to find it. Again, thank you, Gene. He is a big supporter of my podcast, and I am extremely grateful. And one of the other shops here in town at the Rochester Mall is Metalheads, and you can find them physically at the mall or on metalheadsrock.com. I would suggest you go check out their website or pop by the store. If you're looking for anything that's rock band related, you will find it there. And if you don't, ask somebody behind the counter, because I guarantee you they can probably find anything that you're particularly interested in. They also have stuff from the horror genre, from Freddy Krueger and Jason and all those particular ghouls and ghosts. So you can find those things there as well. So I would suggest that you swing by the Rochester Mall, check them out, or go online. Again, my friends at metalheadsrock.com. Okay. Excuse me while I click buttons. Like I said, I'm a one-man show here, so sometimes I got to jump through a few hoops. But anyway, I'd like to leave you with a few thoughts, and let me go through a couple more things that I feel that I need to. As far as finding this podcast, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on where I prefer that you would go, either Rumble or Gab TV or even BitChute. There's been a format change as far as Spotify and some of the audio versions, so I need to figure out that little glitch so I can start posting there again. But if you're willing to subject yourself to looking at this face, and I pray that you are, I'd pray that you'd go to those video platforms, like, share, comment, anything that would be of a benefit to this place. You can follow my Restoring Main Street Facebook page, but if you would like it as well, so that maybe the likes can catch up with the follows, I would really appreciate it. All that support boosts us in the algorithms. If you share us with a friend and they share us, it just gets this voice out there a little bit further. And I pray that you find value in those things and could consider helping the program along. Also, if I could, because I stopped playing the commercial, but the North Country Chronicles, that's my poetry book, Poetry and Prose from the Granite State. You can find that on Amazon. I believe you can get it through Target, Barnes & Noble, any one of those places. If you would consider perhaps supporting me there, I would really, really appreciate it. Did I show you that? You know what? I think what I did, and I apologize, now that this is all scrambled on me again, see if I can find this. You know what? We're going to skip that for now, I guess, and just stay with this. So what I'd like to do is leave you with the same thoughts that I normally do, and that's the idea of God, freedom, and family. Because if we lose the first two, our families are beyond doomed, and we need to stand up for those things. So until next time, God bless.